Yeah.
What did you just say to me before I hit record?
I don't remember. Did I get my hat and put it on backwards?
No, no. I think that's in the 68 and under club, which actually I guess you're still a part of.
I, at least for another month, am still in the 68 and under club. Not sure what the 69 and under club has in store for me, but God willing, we'll find out next month.
Yeah, I hope so. I'm looking forward
Me
to
too.
your birthday.
Me too.
Well, hey, Ray, so we're back again. Thanks to everyone who's subscribed and watching our stuff. I know you've been really proud and impressed with the audience that we've built, haven't you, Ray? Been Ray?
Yes, to me, it's amazing that a soon-to-be 69-year-old washed-up car guy can suddenly find an audience that, well, I don't know that they quite hang on my every word, but they at least get something out of some of my words, and so yeah, it's kind of amazing and heartwarming all at the same time, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's really neat seeing that.
Yeah.
Well, I think today what we're going to talk about is cash for clunkers, and that happened back in 08, 09 during the Great Recession. And what, the reason that we're bringing it up today is because there was recently an automotive news piece that talked about could cash for clunkers 2.0 be a success, if they did it a bit differently. And the questions that I want to pose to you, Ray, are first just for our audience. Tell us about what was cash for clunkers like back during those times when you were working. Obviously, your career was a bit in transition then as well, but you were still in the car business. Tell us what was cash for clunkers like?
At that time, I worked for a dealership. I was the new car manager of their Acura store, but we also had a Nissan store, and there were only certain model cars that qualified, new cars that could be sold that qualified. And I believe on the Acura side, we only had one model, which was the TSX. But on the Nissan side, we had a number of models. And then the idea was to help the environment, in a sense, by getting older, more gas guzzling, more emission emitting cars off the road and replacing them with newer, more gas and fuel efficient automobiles that emitted less pollution. So the idea was that you were getting rid of older cars. The government would pay up to a $4,500 credit or rebate based on the type of car that you traded in. And then those cars had to be destroyed. They could not be resold, because if you resold them, then you're not really getting them off the road. And so that was basically what Cash for Clunkers was about. It was designed to help stimulate new car sales, and it did. I remember there were nights that we were so busy, and I was helping out at the Nissan side of things. We were there till 1 o'clock in the morning.
Are you serious? I must have been asleep.
You were sound asleep by the time I got home, but yes, I mean, there were a couple nights that we were literally there till 1 o'clock in the morning, working with customers, making sure we had all the proper paperwork, closing the deals. It was a godsend and hell rolled into one.
Wow, I had no clue that it really worked as well as.
Oh, it did. I think on the Acura side we sold 3 TSXs, but on the Nissan side, we were in the mid 40s of new cars sold that qualified for the Cash for Clunker reimbursement.
Wow.
And it was really a hectic time, but it was a shot in the arm that the automobile industry really needed at the time.
And I read the automotive news article and it talked about some of the unintended consequences, but can you speak to that a little bit? I mean, what happened after the program?
Well, I saw one woman said that one of the unintended consequences was, well, that we were getting newer used cars off the road and they had to be destroyed. Well, I don't know what they were doing, but we weren't trading newer cars. The concept was not to be trading newer cars.
Yeah.
Now, I don't remember how old the cars had to be. I don't remember if it was 7 years old at least or 10 years old.
Yeah.
But yeah, they had to be older. They weren't like 2 or 3 year old used cars. They were 10 and 12 and 15-year-old used cars. Yeah. So, I don't really remember the alleged unintended consequences, I remember that it helped jumpstart the car business and helped us all get back on our feet. Now, if in the future there was a slight shortage of pre-owned cars, maybe there was, but man, the cars that they got off the road, they weren't pre-owned cars that we were going, oh, we got to have that piece of shit. I mean, dealers weren't looking at these cars going, oh God, I hope we can get that for our used car inventory. No.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah.
So do you think we'll see a Cash for Clunkers 2.0? I mean, we were talking last week about, when the right time to buy a used car is, and we saw in the Manheim market reports that used car prices on the wholesale side are going down. We anticipate they'll be going down on the retail side. I mean, there's a lot of built up demand happening, or built up supply happening, and not cars being sold. Will we see a 2.0?
I don't know. I mean, I suppose that new car dealers are trying to formulate plans to suggest to Congress as to how they can help the automobile industry. And I don't know. I thought the small business loan plans that the government came up with, where you had to employ a percentage of your personnel, had to keep them employed and pay them, what was it, 80% of what they were making, in order to qualify for A, for the loans, and B, for the forgiveness of the loans.
Sure.
I thought, in my silly little head, I thought something like that makes more sense, because it injects some much needed cash into these dealerships. A cash for clunkers scheme, or whatever they want to call it, and it wouldn't be cash for clunkers, it would be something different. I don't know. I personally, if the government and dealers want to approach the government for some form of assistance, I would think that they would want to approach the government to help underwrite a new sales process for the dealerships that wouldn't require people to come into the dealerships like they used to, that could help facilitate at home or at work deliveries, that might require a certain level of employment that must be maintained, a certain level of training of these new employees that would be put in place to help facilitate off-site deliveries and demos and things of that nature. That's where I think the money should go. I don't know that it should go to help people buy cars right now. I understand the car business is struggling, but I also understand that there's 26 million more people that are unemployed than before, and those people aren't going to qualify for car loans. And last time I checked, the vast majority, like over 90% of the people that get a car, are not stroking a check for that car. They're either financing it or leasing it. So if suddenly 26 million people who might have needed a car but no longer qualify for one of those leases or loans, well, how's the government going to give them money to encourage them to go buy a car that a bank won't finance for them?
Yeah, and we've already seen, on the finance side, these ridiculous loan terms.
You've already got great loans. I mean, 0% interest for 84 months. That's pretty cheap. We're not in crude oil territory yet. I don't know. We're going to pay you $100 a month to take the car, but maybe we'll have to get there someday. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I just think this is an opportunity for dealers and the government to get together and say, let's figure out ways that we can continue to sell cars today and moving forward into the future, in case there's ever another situation like this, where it's not going to require, or it won't even be normal anymore, for people to come into a dealership in order to accomplish that.
No, I hear what you're saying, because if you think about it, and I don't know the specifics of how much money was tied up in cash for clunkers, but I mean, it was
close to $3 billion.
Okay, so it was and adjust for inflation and this and that. I mean, maybe we're talking now $3.5–4 billion, maybe, that the government would contemplate investing in the automotive industry. to give it a shot in the arm again. What you're saying is you can put it to a lot of different places, but one of them is probably not going to be, a $4,500 rebate to buy a car, because like you're saying, if someone doesn't even have the income to justify buying a car, what good is a $4,500,
They don't need it.
Yeah.
The people that are still in a position to be able to buy a car, they don't need that additional incentive to go buy it. It's the people that are, well, now unemployed, that need some help. And yes, will car dealerships need some help? But yeah, absolutely they will. But I just think I think we need to look at it from a slightly different lens.
Yeah.
A different perspective than what some people are talking about already. And I am certain that I am in the minority view in this industry as to how maybe it should go.
Well, and I hear you loud and clear, because anytime you ask people to change, we're change adverse. You and me are change adverse, let alone these multi-million-dollar, billion-dollar businesses, But I hear you loud and clear that if you're going to invest that money in restarting an industry, rather than do it in the traditional way of incentivizing people by giving them rebates, credits, you should actually, finance or really help the innovation of the traditional dealership structure, so that it's more of a intrinsic incentive to want to buy a car from that dealership. Now, where I think you're going to get pushback from that idea is, the CEO of Carvana and CarMax would say that's a terrible idea. However, I hear you loud and clear. There's 17,000 car dealerships out there that are, most of them are doing it the wrong way. Doing it the way that you used to tell me stories about at every dinner. We had to get them in the showroom, and then we were bickering back and forth, and then my salesperson kept coming to the manager's office. Which, side note, we definitely got to do a video where you explain what the hell actually happens when the salesperson comes to the manager's office.
Usually we're discussing what to order for food.
It'll be a short video, I guess. But we can really,
yes.
I hear what you're saying. Take money and invest it there, and use federal funds to sponsor that if there's going to be any federal money spent. And that'll be the shot in the arm.
And to help pay for employees, to maintain keeping employees on the payroll at the dealerships, even if the employees are paid at a somewhat reduced rate. I know you've heard me say this. If I was currently employed, and my dealer came to me and said, Ray, we need you to take a 50% pay cut to stay employed so that we can stay in business, or we're going to have to let you go so that you can collect, $400 a week in unemployment. Well, I don't think it would be very hard for me to say, as much as I'd hate to take a 50% pay cut,
yeah,
well, I would take it in order to A, help the dealership stay in business, and B, help to support myself and my family.
Yep.
You just have to figure out ways to be able to survive through things like that. And I just think this is an opportunity right now that has been thrust upon an industry that has maintained its selling posture for the last, 100 plus years. And it's time to thrust that industry forward to figure out new and better and safer ways for people to be able to buy cars. And that's the direction that I think dealers should be looking, and the government should be looking at, in order to help dealers facilitate those changes. And I am certain, as I said before, that I'm probably in the 1% minority that would think that way, because most dealers are just thinking, okay, how can I get my hands on some cash?
For sure. Yeah. Well, Ray, if that was your running platform, you'd have my vote. You would have my vote no matter what, because I'm your son. But seriously, I hear you loud and clear, and not to put you on the spot or anything, but we had Cash for Clunkers then.
Yes.
What are we going to call it in the future?
I don't know. Retail for reality.
Ooh, that's pretty good.
For the sperm of the moment, yes.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, no, I think that makes plenty of sense, Ray. And we'll have to see what happens in the near future, but definitely not going to have Cash for Clunkers again. At least that's our take on it, and we'll have to see what comes.
Can I say one thing?
All ears.
Okay. The opinions expressed on these videos are mine. I'm not saying they're right. I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm saying I've only spent 43 years in the industry, and I have some ideas as to how things work and how things might be able to improve. You can disagree with me, and I'm okay with that because, well, your opinion is as valuable as mine. Truth be told, we could probably take both of them to the bank and get nothing for them. But that's besides the point. But I just wanted to get that out there. I want people to realize these are just my thoughts, my opinions. They're nothing that I say is etched in stone. Uh, although I am married to most of what I say. I believe most of what I say.
And I guess on that note, Ray, for everyone that's watching, if you like this video, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe. Every time we get a new subscriber, Ray and I do a little, group text message where we're like, oh, wow, more people watching our stuff. So we really appreciate it. If you've got a topic that you want us to cover, put it in the comments below. We read literally all of them. It gets a little challenging at times to reply to them all, but we really do get a kick out of it. So any parting words, Ray?
Just keep up the good work, young man. And all you good customers out there, your time will come to get the right deal on the right car. And any way we might be able to help, it'll be our pleasure to do so.